New construction is all the wave today. I'll tell you, everyone is gravitating towards new construction. There's two different kinds of construction. There's production builders that you're going to find you're real familiar with, like D.R. Horton, David Weekley Homes, Shea Homes, Pulte Homes. There's quite a few of them. And then there's also the small builders, kind of the onesie twosies. Let's talk about production builders. I want to give you tips and tricks for both types of new construction. So let's get down to the production builders. The first and foremost thing that we are seeing is the massive amount of incentives. We are seeing everything from low interest rates. We're seeing permanent buy downs. We're seeing temporary buy downs, and we're also seeing closing cost incentives. The very first thing I want to say is that when you see these amazing 4.99, 5.25, there's even one builder that's trying to encourage, I don't know if encourage, but they're offering this great incentive when you use an adjustable rate loan, which I would stay clear of, just to let you know. But they're all limited time only, first of all. So when you see these really good rates, like 4.99 is kind of the hot number right now, builders have figured out this is the number that makes the buyers move. They are okay with 4.99. And this is a 30-year fix, but read the fine print, guys, because it's only on government-backed loans. So that's going to be FHA or VA in the Phoenix area. There might be different in everywhere else. So again, I'm only talking about the greater Phoenix area. So you're going to want to make sure that you read the fine print. Also, some of the builders, if you are taking advantage of these great rates, you have to use their insurance company. Not all of them, but it was really surprising that one builder you had to use their insurance company. Now that's an easy fix. Right after you close, you can shop around, and if you can get a better rate, you can just switch insurance companies. Kind of a pain, but you know what? If you're saving some money, it's worth it. Now, the closing costs on new construction, again, I want you to be aware of these little tiny details. First of all, they are going to have higher closing costs than from when you are in resale for a couple of different reasons. Number one, don't forget these are builder-sided contracts. Let me tell you, when they can get anything from you, any money, they're going to make sure they get it. So some of the title fees that are absorbed by seller and the buyer when you're closing in resale are all on the buyer side in new construction. They're going to say you paid for it, and it's not negotiable. They're also giving you money towards closing costs, right? So when they're using their preferred lender, now again, with these tricky little low interest rates, they're not tricky. Depending on your price point, you're not going to necessarily get a 4.99% interest rate. We're seeing these type of incentives in the lower price points where buyers might be more interest rate sensitive. So if you are buying luxury new construction, even with the production builders, you're not necessarily seeing as many incentives. And some of them are only offering like $10,000 towards closing costs. So if you are paying more in closing costs and you're not getting maybe a fabulous rate, or you're not necessarily, splitting closing costs, you're paying part of the builder's closing costs, sometimes it doesn't benefit you to use the preferred lender. And that's why we have a wholesale lender always on the side, ready to compare rates and fees. That's the thing. Any lender, in fact, I just saw this. A lender told a buyer, I can get you a 5.75% interest rate. And he was ecstatic that to share that the market was offering 5.75. I said, no. Your lender is qualifying you at 5.75. But you now have to come in with a lot more money for closing costs, or you have to ask the seller to pay for that to buy down your rate. I hate when lenders do that. I'll be honest with you. I don't like using the word hate, but God, I just hate it. So again, typically, if you're in the $1 million price point and you're in new construction, you're probably a more savvy buyer, and that this is not your first time buying a home. You've probably purchased, a few homes at least in your past, so you have some experience. But for those younger, not as experienced buyers, pay attention to those asterisks. And by the way, this is where I'm going to throw in, there is no benefit to going into a builder without a realtor. We hope we will be your realtor to give you a call, because let me tell you what we do when we have a buyer that lives out of state and is asking questions about maybe a lot specific that, what's going on behind the fence. We had a buyer that was interested in these lots and wanted to better understand what the neighborhood looked like, what was around the neighborhood, what was on the other side of the back fence, what the builder's sales rep was not including. This is where we not only provide information that the sales rep doesn't with the builder, but we go above and beyond compared to other realtors, because again, we specialize in relocation. Most of our clients are coming from other states and they need some additional services in order to find the right home. Here's another thing. This particular builder's rep, I thought it was funny. Number one, he said, here's a home that's not yet on the market and I can sell it to you before it's actually on the market. And he has already sold 3 of the 5 that are not listed on the market. So this is where you got to get in with a realtor that has an in with the builder's rep, because sometimes there are properties that are not on the market you're not going to find online by yourself. And I'll tell you, they're not going to be perfectly honest. He takes me into this home. He tells me to come up to the upstairs bedroom where this area has the most views of the house. He's like, this is where the views are. And I see some views way out in the north, and he tells me to look kind of south. And he's like, that's where Camelback Mountain is. He's like, look at it. You can see it from here. And I'm like, now, mind you, there's no windows in this house. And I literally am sticking my head out the window to look at the direction where Camelback Mountain was. You could not see Camelback Mountain. And there's the gate.
Camelback Mountain to the right. Way down there.
Well, you'd have to kind of
poke.
Yeah, you're not going to really see it. And so again, I feel so sorry for some of these unsuspecting buyers that don't have a realtor that's representing their best, what's best for them. Here's another thing. We did eventually connect the buyer with the builder rep, because now there's the triangle, right? And we're providing information on what these spec homes are. And I keep saying to the client, these are all west facing. These are all west facing. And a lot of people from outside of Arizona don't understand what that means. Now, I've sold west facing backyards. If you have something absolutely amazing that you see in the western sky, and this would be an amazing sunset, not just a sunset, right? You don't want to see the sun go down on someone else's house. If you have a west-facing golf course, if you have a west-facing pool with water feature, and then there's no other homes behind you but desert, these type of homes make sense for a west-facing backyard. But if it's anything other than truly spectacular, don't buy a west-facing backyard. In fact, I have a client, my son actually, he and his wife were like, literally, we're not buying an east-west home. And this was earlier last year when we were looking, and there was nothing coming on the market. Every single home that fit their, everything was beautiful. Perfect school district, great location, perfect floor plan, great updates. Everything was 100% with one problem. Was facing the wrong way. And I'm telling you, everyone should be that picky when they're buying in Arizona. I'm telling you, it's going to change how you live if you don't get to enjoy your backyard for at least 6 months out of the year, if not more like 9 months out of the year. If you're buying a vacation home, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're only going to be here from October until April, you'll be fine, even if it faces west. So those are the people that usually have the western-facing backyards. You got to give us a call, because we'll find out what's going on when you're coming to town, so that we're literally going to the best of the best spots. And we've also made sure that there's good lots available. Let's talk about that. What's available? So before you come to town, preferably 30 days or more, give us a call. We'll put together a plan for when you hit the ground here. We're going to structure this totally around your needs, wants, criteria, your budget. We're going to do the legwork before you get here so that we're literally taking you out to the potentially perfect homes. We're not going to waste our time going places that don't benefit you. In fact, here's another one. We have a client that's coming down that wanted an RV garage for under $500,000. He had found one home. He reached out to us and he's like, aside from me going online and looking all over the place, how do I find where they are, whether it's resale or new construction? I'm like, you have done it, my friend. You made the one call to us. Now let us do the legwork. So we did all the legwork. And in the meantime, he's sending us things he's finding online. He finds this Redfin post and he says, what about this community? They are offering RV garages in my price point. So I was like, gosh, we just closed on a home there last week. I don't recall seeing any RV garages there. So we call up our contact and we said, hey, are you maybe having some spec homes built that are going to be RV garage? And they were like, no, where'd you find that? I'm like, let me show you. And I sent it to them. We went to corporate. Come to find out, it was not Zillow, it was Redfin. Redfin and Zillow, Trulia, they all work the same way. They pull directly from the builder websites. And it's just some generic enough information where it pulls the name of a community, it pulls product name, models and floor plans and stuff. And so it looks like a listing. But if you see the plus on this, it shows you, it doesn't tell you really, there's not an address, there's just a plus. So it's kind of giving you. So here's what the skinny was. This particular community never had RV garages. This community will not be selling any RV garages. And that price clearly never even existed. So again, instead of trying to find all this false information online, you just got to give us a call so we can walk you through and really find out. So this particular client is coming to town and we're literally appointment at 10, appointment at 11, another one at 12:30, 3 and 4. And literally all scheduled for him. All he has to do is show up and we'll take care of the rest. All right, here's another thing with new construction. A lot of people don't understand this. It's kind of twofold. As soon as you see a home, whether it's from the dirt phase, a spec phase, or QMI, which is quick move-in, you as the buyer, in order to lock in the contract today, you have to qualify for the home. If you don't have the money saved for the down payment, that means you're not qualified. That also means if you have a home to sell, normally builders used to accept contingent offers. They're not doing that anymore. So what they will do, though, is allow you to go under contract. It's up to you to make sure the home is sold in enough time to where you have the money to come to close. Because if you don't, there's no contingency for you to get your money back, and you lose your earnest money if you don't perform. Now, some of these higher-end new construction home, $1 million, you're looking at a 10% earnest deposit. That is $100,000, my friends. No one wants to lose $100,000. I don't care how rich you are. So you're going to want to make sure we have this conversation before you come out. We'll let you know what the temperature is. Here's the thing, guys. The market changes actually pretty quickly. When I say pretty quickly, within 3 to 6 months, things can be completely different. When interest rates go down in 2024, everything that we know is going to pivot.
Pivot! Pivot! Pivot!
Builders right now are offering incentives. There's 3 different products that I was telling you about, remember? Number 1 is from the dirt phase. You can still buy from the dirt. Know that these homes are going to have the least amount of incentives or closing cost assistance provided. You know why? Because they're not really in a hurry to sell from the dirt anymore. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Number 2, they have a spec home. So at some point, they have to say, we're going to start building some homes. Let's reach out to the design center. We're going to be ordering all our cabinets, all our flooring, all our countertop, paint colors, whatever. We're going to get construction started. Those are going to be ready in about 4 or 5 months. Now, depending on how far in advance they are, will depend on what they may or may not be offering as a spec home. Usually early in the spec home era, you might still have an opportunity to pick some of these things. So that's the plus. But the negative is there's still very little incentives that are being offered right now for spec homes. Where you can get your biggest bang are the homes that are ready right now or will be ready within the next 30 to 60 days. Those are the ones that you're going to get the best incentives on. Number one, because of that interest rate, it depends on the price point. Because again, that $1 million community that I'm telling you about, they didn't have that interest rate. But they were offering the biggest discounts by almost $100,000 for the ones that were closing next month. If you were in the lower price point, maybe around 4, 5, 600,000, they do what they call forward commitment. Okay, I'm getting really technical here. I don't want to bore you guys to death. So I'm just going to say the builder buys a chunk of money, they borrow it, and they're going to set aside this amount of money. They're going to give it out at 4.99%. But when this bucket is empty, the program's gone. So that's why they're only giving those out to the ones that close the soonest. What's the difference? Let me tell you. It depends on really your taste. If you are the kind of buyer that wants to handpick absolutely everything, you want to pick your lot. North-south is definitely the most favorable. I have a south-facing backyard. That is where you're going to get the most sun, but not direct sun. So you're going to get the most sun that's cooler. And so I'm going to have less wear and tear on my home, the interior of my home, I'm sorry. My utility bills aren't going to be as bad. And I will have the majority of the fun in my pool. So the sun's going to go over my house like this. No, that would be the same if it was facing, if I had, the flip, north-south, south-north. The thing is, though, because where we are in the equator, my front yard gets quite a bit of shade all day. Like it never gets sun. If I had a pool in that direction, I would want sun. So this is why you need to give us a call because I'm boring you, I can tell. All right, let's go back to from the dirt. From the dirt, here's the other thing. The base price looks lower because it truly is the base price. It doesn't have any upgrades or options that have been added. You're probably going to have a slightly higher price than the spec homes or the QMIs because when the builder builds a spec home, they don't put in as many options and upgrades. They also don't pick the premium lots because they don't want to give away lot premium charges. So when you're picking from the dirt, you're going to have a better lot. You're going to have a better location on the lot. Like you can move the house print to the left or the right or forward or back within reason. You're going to be able to pick absolutely everything. If it comes with an optional bedroom, if it comes with an optional loft, if it comes with two different types of laundry rooms, a smaller one, so this room is bigger, etc. From the dirt, you get to build this house exactly as you want. You pick the floor. You don't want carpet in your bedrooms? Let me tell you, a spec home, all of them come with carpet in the bedroom. If you want a home where you can finance all the flooring, even though it is more expensive from the builder, if you want that flooring financed, building from the dirt so you don't have to do anything after closing. Again, this is it. You're going to pick your lighting, or maybe you don't. Maybe some of the stuff you do after the market. That's another video we'll have to talk about another day. What will get you your biggest return and what won't? I would say this: flooring, cabinets, and quality countertops. You will find in spec homes they never upgrade their granite or their quartz. I'm telling you, there is nothing like a woman that walks into a home and sees a kitchen that she goes, ooh. And there's a lot of guys that like that too. I'm just saying, you got to put money where it gets you the biggest return. Men, they love to have the pre-wires, maybe some additional lighting. Now we can do pre-wires off for security systems. There's a lot of options that you don't get in a spec home, which is why, again, I'm saying not all builders are offering from the dirt, and I love that they are. But most of the builders out there right now are spec-only communities. And most of them are, if you lock in today, they don't even sell it before it's done. I don't want to say what builder. Okay, I'll say it. Lennar, you can't even hey, what's going to be done in 3 months? It's a spec home. But will it be done in 3 months? Can I buy it? Nope. You can only buy the homes that are ready today and can close in 30 days. That's just kind of the way it is right now. But like I said, remember, it could change.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
All right. So when you are thinking about living in side Phoenix, you are going to be, your breath is going to be taken away when you see these absolutely gorgeous homes that are being one-off built by different developers. There are a ton of builders, some of them not so great, some of them are amazing, where they're going into the older parts of the Phoenix area, kind of more central. You might know these areas, kind of the Biltmore area, Arcadia Light, Lower Arcadia, Camelback East. These are all older areas that were originally defined in the early 1900s, where you would, the minimum lot size for Arcadia was 5 acres. And at the time, and again, this is right around the Depression era, you had to build your home for a minimum of $5,000. Again, in hindsight, you got to look at definitely inflation, right? But this was always a very coveted area, right up against Camelback Mountain. We had Paradise Valley on one side, we had Arcadia on the other side. Arcadia, a tear down is about $4 million right now, and a nicely renovated or one that has been well kept, but it's an original state. Even those are in the 5 to 6 million and up in Arcadia. So what I'm talking about, again, are these super ultra modern. A couple years ago, modern farmhouse was the big thing. Now it's the ultra industrial modern. So if you're a super modern, you go in these farmhouses, you're like, but they are gorgeous in this area. And again, though, these are areas that are only loved and cherished by Phoenicians, people that have lived here in the greater Phoenix area and understand the benefits and how they might overweigh the negatives. Here's the negatives, guys. Higher crime rate areas, higher homeless areas. I don't know if homeless and bums are the same thing, but people walking around in the area that make you feel a little bit nervous. Dirtier, trash, older, power lines above ground, so you see them everywhere. But if you come from a large metropolitan area, you might be okay with it. But here's the thing, guys. Here's all the positives. The proximity. Honestly, it's the proximity to everything. Whether you're talking about a mountain in the middle of our city or you're talking about shopping, if you're talking like flower shops and vegan restaurants and over-the-top 5-star restaurants, if you're talking about just that culture, the community, I'll tell you, the schools are not good over here either. They are all going to like Brophy, which is a very coveted school. There's a lot of very high-end homeowners. Like these are people that are making in excess of $500,000 a year. Many of them are single income. The cars in these particular homes just kind of speak for themselves. And here's what's happening though. As an older home is selling, not kidding, older, ugly, can't do anything with it house in a really bad neighborhood is selling for $800,000 in this particular part of Phoenix. They go in and completely bulldoze it, and they build an absolutely over-the-top, like dream home. Let's take a look at this one that blew my client away. They loved every single thing about this house, except where it was located. Not only was it on a busy street, but it was right next to an ugly old home. The neighborhood, it would be nice house, ugly, 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 nice, and And who knows how long it's going to take for this entire street, let alone entire neighborhood, to get to that level where everything is completely updated and gentrified, if you would. You know, they say don't buy the nicest home on the block. This home by far was the nicest home on the block. But the house that was across the street, that's how that guy felt a few years ago when he built it. And it was probably a really ugly house here. You see my point? So if you don't live here in the greater Phoenix area to see the benefit of these areas, you're not going to want to buy these absolutely over the top, meticulously built homes with careful thought and planning, like why things, showers, lights, the way, again, the modern floating cabinet, the vanities in the bathroom, the higher vaulted ceilings, like top of the line windows, construction, roof. It's hard to say no, but when you walk around the neighborhood, especially around 7:30, 8 p.m., you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. Only people that have lived here for a while that understand, again, what the drive is for these areas typically wind up buying in these areas. They just don't like the neighborhoods, but the houses are stunning. Look, if you are thinking about buying new construction, there are so many little tiny details. And honestly, here's the biggest closure I want to say here. It does make a difference who you work with. Even more so in new construction. I am blown away by how many people have reached out to me. You can read the comments on all my past videos and stuff. People are like, I wish I had known what you just said in this video because I bought here 2 years ago and I'm miserable.
This is the worst.
Here's the thing, guys. The builder's sales rep is there to sell you the home in that community. That's all they care about. We work for you and we make sure that's the right home. And if not, we'll find you another home. We're not community specific. And our services are 100% paid for by the seller or the builder. There's no benefit to not using us. So you know what? You just need to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Let us show you the perfect way for you to buy a new construction home. Can't wait to hear from you. Just give us a call, text, or email. These nicer weekends, we got your back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona.